Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem, Rukak B'dash. I want to give double honors to the elder apostles, a great millstone who rule well. Salutations of much love. The rest of you, sincere Akim, pushing the word in truth and sincerity. This is the cleric Izar coming to you with another lesson. I am continuing in my lot to bring you my ongoing series from excerpts of Hollywood, This Factory of Perverseness, another observation of predictive programming, and how art imitates life and vice versa. Just a reminder, the purpose of my videos is to show correlations. A correlation is an observation of a mutual relationship or connection between two or more things. I use movies to extract or extrapolate a narrative. I'm not glorifying the Hollywood culture or life. I have a wide knowledge of films, whether they be foreign or domestic, and I just use them as an example to bring out those similarities and those correlations. To quote Cecil B. DeMille, the greatest source of material for motion pictures is the Bible. I call this lesson, These Banks Have Been Around. The image I have on display is actually a video that I got from a film that I watched in my past. Of course, me and this troop, I reflected on this particular movie. This movie was released on February 10th, 1995. The title of it is The Quick and the Dead, directed by Sam Raimi. I'm going to play the scene, and I'm going to go into why I selected this particular scene and bring out some scriptures as well as some historic trivia. Bear with me just a moment.
He's entitled to whatever he wants, courtesy Mr. Harris. But the man who wins the contest gets this: $123,000. Compliments Mr. Harrod and Wells Fargo.
All right, you hear that? Okay, now just give you a little understanding. Wow. I mentioned that okay, it's just a coincidence, but this movie takes place in the year 1881, and this happened to also be the same year as Cecil B. DeMille being born. He was the one who came up with the quote, "The greatest source of material for motion pictures is the Bible." Just a coincidence, and that's the spirit. Well, anyway, in this particular movie, there's a prize that's given to this whoever wins this particular gun shooting contest. And the reason why I'm picking this particular scene is because when I was watching it, I was maybe only 20 years old at the time. So I'm only like 1 year younger than Leonardo DiCaprio. So I was still in college at the time, and he was still getting his career started. Okay. Well, anyway, in this particular scene, Horace, the bartender, is basically showing what the prize money is and who's giving it. So there's a lot of spiritual little clues in this particular film. But I'm just going to hone in on one, just the fact that Wells Fargo was mentioned, and it just happens to be a coincidence that we're dealing with this, I was going to say bank bailout, but it's more the debt ceiling deal that's going on right now currently in Washington. And just shows you how, we've had to deal with bank bailouts before, which is kind of different, but just shows you how these banks have been in positions of power going back almost over 140, in Wells Fargo case, 142 years. Okay, now the Horace bartender points to a chest full of money, as you can see in the background to the right, and is announcing that the prize for the contest and the amount is 123 grand. Now, the U.S. dollar had an average inflation rate. I'm getting this off of IMDb, so keep in mind about the accuracy of these figures and these numbers. But the U.S. dollar had an average inflation rate of 2.3% per year between 1880 and 2016. So, in this particular term, in this particular year, currently 123K in the year 1880 is worth over $3 million in today's terms. Okay, so it's big money. And I also wanted to point out the fact that the title, The Quick and the Dead, comes from the KJV, or the King James Version, or translation of the Bible, from 1 Peter 4, verse 5, which admonishes the believer from behaving like pagans, who shall give account to him, a Mashiach that is ready to judge the quick and the dead. The word quick is a more archaic use, meaning living, and you will see that in some other versions like the NLT or New Living Translations other than the KJV. The movie title plays off the double meaning in that there are two kinds of gunslingers. Quick meaning both fast and alive, and dead. All right. To accurately give out that scripture, I want to go into 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 5, which reads, "Who shall give account to him that is ready to judge the quick and the dead?" Now, the phrase "the quick and the dead" is from the second epistle of Timothy, or the second chapter of Timothy, chapter 4, verse 1. And in various Bible versions, including the King James Bible, describes the final judgment. Okay, now 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 1 reads as such: "I charge thee, therefore, before the Most High and the Lord Yahushua Mashiach, who shall judge the quick and the dead at his appearing and his kingdom." Okay, just to get that out of the way, just want to throw that trivia out there, okay, because basically we're coming to the end of this thing, coming to the end of Esau's kingdom, the so-called white man's kingdom. We're about to see the beginning of Jacob, okay, as pertaining to the Apocrypha, as Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning that follow it, okay. And but first, his kingdom must fall, his financial system must fall, and he must also, he's practically almost, he's in the process of revealing himself as the devil that he is, okay. But what's happening as well, you can do research on this, is a lot of these banks were converted from slave plantations. Okay, you can just Google Wells Fargo owned slaves, either Google or any search engine, and it's going to come up with different things. I'm going to read just a couple, just without even going into the actual sites, from what I can see. But BBC.com explains that the predecessors that made up Citibank, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo are among a list of well-known U.S. financial firms that benefited from the slave trade. Okay, you can go to grunge.com and talks about how the banks that you didn't know had ties to slavery. So according to the Charlotte Observer, Branch's father, I'm sorry, it doesn't mention anything about Wells Fargo. Here we go. RD.com, institutions you didn't know had ties to slavery, or 10 institutions. One of these institutions will be Wells Fargo, but it mentions that Bank of America and Citibank are other banking organizations that have been cited for historic ties to slavery, while both Truist and Wachovia, before it was acquired by Wells Fargo in 2008. And you should be able to remember what happened back in 2008. All right, so basically, a lot of these things are coming down on the head of Esau Edom. Okay, what do I have here too? Let me see. Talking about apologies here. It's African American Golfers Digest.com says 15 major corporations you never knew profited from slavery. USA Today reported that Wachovia Corporation, now owned by Wells Fargo, has apologized for its ties to slavery after disclosing that two of its historical predecessors owned enslaved Africans, which were not. We are the biblical Israelites, you blacks, Native Americans, Latinos, and specifically you Southern Kingdom, Jakes, tribe of Levites, Judites, as well as Benjamites. All right, the kingdom owned those cargo slave ships. You can read Deuteronomy 28, verse 68. All right, and it describes you coming over here as part of your punishment for being disobedient to the Most High. Okay. And these people were accepted as payment. Okay, you don't need to be told a million times. You already been told in history how you were owned by property, and I know they're trying to change that up, but hey, it's kind of too late at this point. Okay, and so basically, I just wanted to say that I might have to do a part 2 on this, because this is all going to come to a head eventually. All right, because one, these people want to give an account to what they have done. When it comes time for so-called African Americans to say that, hey, they helped build this country, they're not giving account to their labor. You can read about that in Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5, verse 1. And it reads, "Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him." So that's part of the affliction, okay, the slavery. "And made no account of his labors." Now that's almost twofold, because it happened according to the slave period, and it happens even in this current period that we're living in, that our enemies and our adversaries don't give us account for our labors. Okay, they keep us at the bottom while they're at the top, and that's about to change really soon. All right, because this city was built with blood. All right, like I said recently and earlier in this video, you blacks, Native Americans, Latinos make up the 12 tribes of Israel. So we know what happened to the Native American All right, in this film, it shows you that. It shows you how Native Americans are depicted and so forth. Okay, because it's Old West, an Old Western film. Okay, but I may have to do a part 2 to this. I got some other scriptures I do want to bring out, and I'm just going to I'm going to end it on this because I always like to end my videos on a good note, some type of silver lining. And there is light at the end of the tunnel. So in other words, there is a happy ending. We're going to go into the book of Jeremiah 46 and it's judgment on Egypt. But it parallels what's going to happen with modern day Babylon, which is so-called America. Okay. Jeremiah 46, verse 8, and it reads, Egypt riseth up like a flood, and its waters are moved like the rivers. And he saith, I will go up and will cover the earth. I will destroy the city and the inhabitants thereof. And that's what the so-called America has done. All right. It's tried to influence the whole entire world with its philosophies and so forth, and also crush the other nations and these wars and so forth. Okay. Verse 9, come up, ye horses, and rage, ye chariots, and let the mighty men come forth, the Ethiopians and the Libyans that handle the shield, and the Lydians that handle and bend the bow. For this is the day of the Lord, the Most High of hosts, a day of vengeance, that he may avenge him of his adversaries. And the sword shall devour, and it shall be satiate, and made drunk with their blood. For the Lord of the Most High of hosts hath sacrificed in the north country by the river Euphrates. Now, that particular country, speaking of, is a different country, but it also parallels North America as well, all right, because that big sacrifice is going to be those missiles dropping on Babylon the Great in the lake of fire, okay? I'm going to end it on this, verse 11. Go up into Gilead and take balm, O virgin, the daughter of Egypt. In vain shalt thou use my many medicines, for thou shalt not be cured. Okay, so going back to what I said in the beginning of this video, with this debt ceiling thing being, like they describe as the can being kicked down the aisle or the alleyway or so forth. All right, we're not out of the woods yet. And call Allah, Yahweh B'Shem Yahshua, that we're not, because it's going to get worse before it gets better. And the system is going to eventually collapse. As a matter of fact, and it's one of the news clipping I had watched earlier today, it mentioned that this deviated from a worldwide financial collapse. Okay, but it's eventually going to happen. All it needs is, something else to happen, and, the next deal not be made. And all the prayers that were made by the slaves when they were brought over here, and as I was mentioning earlier about how a lot of these plantations were converted into banks and so forth, and as you can see, this Wells Fargo here in the background, all right, these people are going to have to pay for what they've done, okay, and it's going to be put on their own head, okay, but I'm going to definitely do a part 2 to this. Look out for that. Hopefully I'll get it out tomorrow. I got some more scriptures I want to bring out, but yeah, just know that this thing is right around the corner, okay? And that mark of the beast is going to be established, which is the RFID microchip, okay? And starting with the elder apostles on down, there's plenty of videos that you can look up to back that fact up, okay? Okay, I've been wanting to do this video for quite some time. Last week, I was in the same room with Sam Raimi, who directed this film, and I've also met I was also with Keith David, who's in this film. I met Lance Henriksen, as well as Tobin Bell. And it's been so many years, and I put this movie in. And just walking past Sam Raimi the other day, I was just saying to myself, I was like, I forgot he directed this movie. So it's just a spirit that I've been holding this particular video in the chamber for quite some time. And it was the Lord that had me brush past Sam Raimi to remind me to go do this video. So I just wanted to share that. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praises to Yahweh B'Shem Yahshua, who gives me the strength and the spirit to continue to strive and endure in these last days. Shalom to the hopeful elect, and on to the next video.